I watched The 40-Year-Old Virgin for the first time last night, and it felt way more relatable than it should have. It really should be one of the literally me movies, especially with the direction that Gen Z men are going with. Let's just say 20 years from now, there are going to be a lot more Andys in the world if we continue on the direction that we're going with the statistics of men who have never been in relationships. But before we get into all that, be sure to give this video a like. Comment what you think of my breakdown of the 40-year-old virgin and how it reflects, I guess, today, or how it's more relevant today than it was in 2005 when it came out. And subscribe for daily videos of cultural commentary from a man caught between generations. Me, Zillennial Nexus. So, for context, this movie came out when I was 8 years old, but I never saw it until now. 20 years later, really when I was a lot closer in age to most of the characters, assuming they're all in line with their actors' ages. So, Paul Rudd was already in his mid 30s. Seth Rogen was only 23, so he was younger than me. But anyway, I just expected a raunchy comedy. Okay, I did choose to watch it because I had a feeling, because DBDR was like, that movie, The 40-Year-Old Virgin, that's less of fiction and more fact today. It's no longer a comedy of a wild exception. It's a standard. Well, give it another 20 years and it'll be the standard. Think about it. 40 years after the 40-Year-Old Virgin came out, there are likely to be way more Andys than there are right now. Anyway, what I didn't expect was this weird wave of nostalgia that I got for the setting instead of the plot. Because again, came out when I was 8, and I only watched it for the first time last night at the age of 28. And I had never seen it up to that point. But that's the weird thing about finally getting to these raunchy 2000s comedies that I was not allowed to watch in my youth because my parents were responsible that way. I watching the 40-Year-Old Virgin, I felt a wave of nostalgia for mostly the store that Andy worked at. Because back in the day, I used to go to Circuit City every now and then with my dad, and the whole store setting kind of reminded me of Circuit City circa 2005. I actually noted in my review I wrote on Henry's Home Video Reviews that it's just not the same at Best Buy anymore because the one I've gone to for where I bought these AirPods and we got my grandmother's AirPods and the one where I got the HDMI to USB-C cable. It's just not the same because they reduced the floor space. They aren't showing off as many cool things like the video camera hooked up to the TV, which, yeah, is a little dated because today we have the ability to AirPlay or stream whatever the third party AirPlay things are. We're able to stream things wirelessly from our phones to our TVs. But yeah, between that and seeing the same Robosapien toy that I got for Christmas of that year, actually, give or take. Maybe I got it in '04. I don't remember. I just know that I got that Robosapien toy for Christmas, and it was cool to see that. Yeah, I also felt like Andy was probably where I would be in life if I was born 20 years earlier. If I'd been born a really young member of Gen X instead of one of the oldest members of Gen Z who could have been a millennial if I'd arrived days earlier, I would probably be in a similar position as Andy, working in that kind of a job if I weren't in an office or anything. Like, that's probably where I would be. But anyway, the real substance of the movie comes from the way it satirizes everything being about sex, but Andy being well, the title says it all. He isn't just a punchline anymore. Feels like a prototype for where Gen Z men are statistically headed. More single, isolated, and uncertain of how to connect. The fulfilling life montage was pretty funny, and honestly, I don't see why that's such a bad thing. I don't see how that's entirely unfulfilling. Sure, the Matt Walshes of the world would argue that he's not married with kids, so he's not actually fulfilling anything or contributing to society. He is being an adult child. But hey, spoilers for a 20-year-old movie. He made a bunch of money selling all that stuff. I mean, frankly, at a certain point, it's actually not a bad idea to have invested in that. You know, that's another reason I wish I could have been born. Well, I wonder, I'd be like him if I was born 20 years earlier. I could have collected all that and then traded it, sold it, and made a bunch of money. But yeah, at least he's doing more than just playing video games. I mean, you let me know in the comments down below. The reason that came to mind quite a bit is because I got a reply to a comment I made on Loser Maxing's video about women decide which men get to be happy by giving the cake analogy for life with how I don't let women dictate my happiness. As I said in that comment, I always view romantic relationships as a nice bonus, like icing on the cake. My hobbies, friends, and family are the ingredients that make a delicious cake, and romance is the icing I have yet to be able to add to it. But the cake tastes really good without that icing. I got that from How to Beast, David. I haven't watched much of his stuff recently, but yeah, it just goes to show that it's good to decentralize this kind of thing from your life. It's not bad to have romantic relationships. If you are in a romantic relationship where you are happy, I am happy for you. But the movie just goes to show that it doesn't have to be the end all be all. And I really liked how The relationship with Trish showed that there was more to it than just the deed, or as Matt Walsh would call it, the reproductive act. So yeah, onto the cultural observation about this. The rising stats, more men in their 20s, even 30s reporting no sex, no dating, no strong friendships. The likes of Gerbert Johnson and others have done better research on compared to what I'm doing here. And he used to be an outlier back in 2005, but today we're a lot closer to him being the meme and the mirror. Not only is he the meme of a 40-year-old virgin with all the, what's the best word to describe it? With all the hobbies that I guess people associate with that. Personally, I don't see a problem with it. I don't see why you can't have both. In the movie, it really seemed more that he had performance anxiety he had to work through. Which again is why I really liked how the relationship with Trish was about more than just the deed. It was about him getting to know her. I also did appreciate how he called her out for basically seeming to try to make him change for her, which a lot of red pill guys are probably going to say, yeah, that's typical women behavior. Honestly, I'm a little charitable here, and I'd like to say that this movie reflects how she's just pushing him to be a better version of himself in that case. Sure, I would have no problem. I don't see the problem with him collecting those things, but he could also use them to get the money to do what he really wants to do. You know? It was really interesting to see how Trish pushed him to be a little more ambitious when he seemed pretty happy where he was, or at least content. Really, the only thing that, really, the only reason that he went out and tried to get laid was because his coworkers kind of pressured him into it. Literally, they find out that he is a virgin, and they basically try to get him to fix that when he seemed content where he was. Though, he also did seem a little frustrated. But again, I like how the movie showed there was more to the romantic relationship than just the deed. And I also liked how the movie showed that sex was being thrown in his face at all possible corners of life. Just like in real life, like with advertising, the eruption billboard that he kept on trying to avoid. And then look at the real world, especially today, with almost every ad, movie, show. And look at early 2010s YouTube thumbnails. Like, Smosh thumbnails back in the day. I'm going to try and bring them up just to see if they're still there. But I remember back in the 2010s, they literally just included a woman in a bikini for the sake of being able to throw her into the thumbnail, and then they could be like, oh, hey, she actually is in the video. We're not lying to you. Hey, YouTube, guess what? We're actually, she's actually part of the video. All right, there's some examples here that I can show. Best of 2009, and then early 2010, you've got Charlie the Drunk Guinea Pig. You've got the editor video. Ian Gets Lucky. Then you've got more Charlie the Drunk Guinea Pig. Yeah, what I'm really looking for is the Food Battle 2010 trailer. You see here? See just how much. You see how sexual they made it with these? Now, 2011 got the. This one's the classic. That is definitely not the same one that they had when it first came out. And I remember when this one originally came out, it had the picture of Anthony with the. Oh my god, I just remembered in the movie. They had the sequences of Andy with the what's the best YouTube way to describe it? They refer to it. What they say here. And then Smosh TV show, the robot. Oh my god, I just remembered this one might be a little more relevant now because of the Elon Musk one, robots. Yeah, the 3D glass. Okay, this one right here I think is an example of how they just include a woman in a bikini for the sake of being able to put her in the thumbnail and not be lying. Alright, I think I went on long enough about that. You get the idea. More recently, though, there have been exceptions like Lois Lane in that new Superman movie. People have been saying looked, quote, kind of frumpy. I mean, I didn't see what they meant about that, but something that I think is a bit clearer is video game characters intentionally featuring less attractive female characters. Like Spider-Man 2, the PS5 game, making MJ from the PS4 version game look a bit older. Like, she jumped from looking like she was in her mid-20s in the PS4 game to looking 20 years older in the PS5 sequel. Honestly, I didn't think it was too big of a deal, and that was the least of Spider-Man 2 PS5's problems. Mostly the writing and generally not being as engaging as the PS4 game. So, yeah, getting back to the movie we were talking about, but Andy was a sweet guy. He just waited for love. The movie just assumed that he was a rare case when today, instead of being played for laughs, it would probably be played for concern, or it would be, as my sociology teacher would say, the facts. Or I think a better way to put it is that Andy would be less of an outlier today and more of a typical case. Of course, if it came out today and it were about a 40-year-old man born in 85, he would be a millennial. I'm pretty sure the stats are nowhere near where it is for the older millennials. I don't have them in front of me, so don't quote me on that, but I think you get the point. Anyway, watching this movie made me wonder, is the joke on Andy or us? Or is it supposed to be, or just how close are we to it being reality? Well, according to Gerber Johnson, it would definitely be, or DBDR, we're a lot closer to that reality now than we are. But just like how I said in my Back to the Future video that George McFly is a Zoomer man transplanted into a 1955 high school setting, I'd argue Andy is probably a foreshadowing of what Zoomer men will likely be if the trends keep going the way they're going. I just want to say, not all Zoomer men, but again, my takeaway from that movie is decentralizing sex from your life is probably a good idea. Like I said, make it the icing on the cake that if it's not there, you still have a delicious cake because you used really good ingredients, as David from How to Beast said. So I'm going to wrap it up here for the video because I've gone on long enough about this. You let me know in the comments down below whether you think I'm just coping or if you think maybe the movie is onto something, or if you think I'm reading too much into a 20-year-old movie. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe for daily videos of cultural commentary from a man caught between generations, and I will see you soon.